Exclusive U.S. commits to Afghan asset talks regardless of frustration with Taliban. Sources: Washington. U.S. President Joe Biden's management will press ahead with talks on freeing billions of bucks in Afghanistan's foreign-held assets in spite of the overdue al-Qaeda chief's presence in Kabul and foot-dragging by way of the Taliban and Afghan important financial institution, according to three sources with know-how of the state of affairs. The decision to pursue the initiative to help stabilize Afghanistan's collapsed economy underscores growing problem in Washington over a humanitarian crisis because the United Nations warns that nearly one-half the United States' 40 million people face acute hunger as wintry weather strategies. At the core of the U.S. LED attempt, as mentioned closing month, is a plan to switch billions in foreign-held Afghan-relevant bank assets into a proposed Swiss-based trust fund. Disbursements could be made with the help of an international board and bypass the Taliban, many of whose leaders are beneath U.S. and UN sanctions. The Islamist extremists provided a counterproposal in talks in Doha in past due June. U.S. State Department and Treasury officers instructed impartial analysts at an August 11 briefing 12 days after a CIA drone strike killed al-Qaeda leader Ayman al-Zawahiri on a balcony of his Kabul safehouse they may pursue the talks notwithstanding frustration with the pace, sources stated on circumstance of anonymity. The Taliban and Afghan Critical Bank acknowledged by means of the initials DAB aren't appearing swiftly, a U.S. authentic mentioned, consistent with one supply. The Taliban sit down on their arms and it is infuriating. The State Department declined to comment on the briefing. A informed U.S. supply who requested anonymity showed the briefing's substance. The strike did not trade the U.S. authorities' dedication to putting in place the worldwide trust fund, and it's running with the identical pace and alacrity as earlier than the strike, said the U.S. supply. The Taliban-run Foreign and Records Ministries and DAB did not at once reply to requests for remark. U.S. officials also have discussed the accept as true with fund plan with Switzerland and different parties. Afghanistan's financial and humanitarian crises deepened when Washington and different donors halted resource that funded 70% of the authorities' budget following the Taliban's seizure of Kabul on August 15, 2021, because the ultimate U.S.-led overseas troops departed after 20 years of conflict. Washington also stopped flying in difficult currency, efficiently paralyzing Afghanistan's banking system, and iced up $7 billion in Afghan property in the U.S. Federal Reserve Bank of New York. In February, Biden ordered one-half the sum set apart for the gain of the Afghan humans. Other countries maintain a few $2 billion of Afghan reserves. Initially, the $3.5 billion Biden sequestered could be launched into the proposed Believe Fund and probably could be used to pay Afghanistan's World Bank arrears and for printing Afghanis, the countrywide currency, and passports, both in short deliver. The other $3.5 billion is being contested in court cases in opposition to the Taliban stemming from the 11th of September, 2001, assaults at the United States, but courts could decide to launch the one's price range too. The belongings also sooner or later ought to go to recapitalizing DAB, bolstering its capability to modify the Afghanis' value, fight inflation, and provide difficult forex for imports. But after Zawahiri became killed, the State Department excluded recapitalizing DAB as a near-term choice, saying that through harboring the al-Qaeda chief in breach of the 2020 U.S. troop pullout deal, the Taliban had fueled concerns regarding diversion of budget to terrorist companies. Central bank militants. Two sources quoted the U.S. officers as telling the briefing that proceeding with the talks has turned out to be more tough because of Taliban resistance to several the world over sponsored demands. One requires replacing the two senior militants heading DAB, one as under U.S. and UN